Hello guys. Welcome back to Movie Recap. Today I will show you a thriller horror film. Make sure you like and subscribe. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. A city named Raccoon is shown in this movie. This is a small town. There was an experiment going on secretly. A corporation has done many experiment types of research there. The doctors have used those experiments on the kids. Like this, they have taken the lives of orphan kids of that city. One day, the doctors turn into zombies while performing experiments. With it, the zombie virus starts spreading in the city. The city owner gives orders to finish the city. This story starts at 12 o'clock. It finishes at 6 a.m. All the doctors of the corporation have become zombies. Only Dr. William was left fine. This doctor does illegal experiments on orphan kids. He has done an experiment on a girl. It was failed. The girl doesn't die, or her mental condition also remained fine, but her body's condition was worse. Further, two kids are shown. They live in the orphan hostel of this city. The kid sees a girl in the hostel at night. Her face and body were terrible. Even then the girl Claire doesn't scare her. She goes near her. She was the same girl on whom the doctor has done the failed experiment. Due to it, her body was ruined completely. The girl gives something to Claire after writing it on a page. Claire didn't understand it. The girl lives in a small tent made in that house. Claire goes inside the tent and discovers many toys there. They were strange and terrible. Meanwhile, Dr. William comes and holds her. He asks her, "Why did you come here?" Her brother arrives and says to the doctor that Claire has a habit to walk in asleep at night. The doctor sends them to sleep. The doctor asks his brother to take care of his sister. Dr. William was now about to perform an experiment on Claire. While sleeping, Claire again notices the weird face girl. She was standing in a corner of her room. She is shown dreaming. Now she has grown elder. What has happened in Claire's childhood we will see gradually. It is shown she has gone far from the city for always. After growing elder, she doesn't go to meet her brother. She comes to Raccoon City while taking a lift from a truck driver. On their way, the driver mistakenly has done a girl's accident. Due to it, the girl falls down. She becomes injured. Her body starts bleeding. She was alive, so Claire says they have to call the police. They should help her. Meanwhile, the truck driver says to Claire, "Do whatever you want to do. I am leaving from here." They were arguing. Meanwhile, the girl stands up and leaves. There was a dog along with the driver. The dog discovers the girl while leaving. It also licks the blood fallen on the ground. When they see the girl has left, they again move forward. A boy is shown in the next scene who has joined the police duty today. Today was his night duty. That's why he was sleeping at the dinner time. Seeing him sleeping, the present police officer awakes him. Everyone was making fun of him because it was his first day. After all this, a girl police officer says to him, "Don't take them seriously. They are good partners." The boy notices the lady serving the food in the canteen. Her eyes were strange. Her eyes were bleeding. He asks her how this happened, but the lady also doesn't know this, how she was bleeding. He notices a crow who has become a zombie. They didn't understand anything and they move to their duties. The driver is shown in the next scene. He drops Claire at her brother's house. He was leaving. Meanwhile, he notices his dog is looking sick. The eyes of his dog were also bleeding. The dog bites the driver. After it, he leaves with his truck. Claire is shown knocking at her brother's house, but none opens the door. She notices a next door house from her brother's house. There was a kid and his mother in that house. They were watching her from the window weirdly. The mother of the kid was bald. Her clothes were also looking strange. Claire moves inside while opening the door with a dagger. She notices her brother has become a police officer. Her brother arrives who was taking shower. That's why he doesn't open the door. He asks Claire how does she come inside. She tells she has opened the door with a knife. He was angry with Claire because she didn't contact him ever. Claire shows him a video in which a man told that the citizens are in danger. The virus has been spread in the water of that city, but Claire's brother doesn't believe her. She tells him about the accident that happened on the way. He says why she didn't inform the police. He says he is a police officer. He doesn't have time to listen to her. The doctor is shown with her daughter and wife in the next scene. The doctor receives a call here. After it, he becomes depressed. He runs from Raccoon City. He doesn't tell his wife what has happened. There was a red alert in the city. Everyone was said to stay in their houses. Hearing the red alert, Clary's brother says he has to leave. He asks Claire to stay in the house. She will not touch his bike. Claire sees the lady who was in the nearby house when she sees outside. Her hands were soaked in blood. She was writing something in the window. Her son hides in her house. Claire asks him, "Do you want help?" The kid says, "You will need help." The lady attacks Claire. Claire escapes from there on her brother's bike. Claire's brother is shown in the police station in the next scene. Their chief tells them the police team went to the expensive mansion. They went for investigation, but they are missing. "We aren't contacting anyone." Now the chief is sending the other team for searching for them. There were 5 members in that team. Clary's brother was also on that team. There was a pilot and as well as an officer in this team. He receives a message and opens his locker. He notices a message on the phone. He has to follow this information to reach the mansion. The Raccoon City will be finished in the morning at 6 a.m. Someone has given a secret contract to this officer. He was told to bring the virus from the mansion. In return, he will be given a lot of money. The officer doesn't tell this to anyone. No team officer has this information. The doctor is shown in the next scene. He was in anger. He tells his wife they have ruined his life's hard work. Meanwhile, Claire arrives in front of him on the bike. She recognizes the doctor. But maybe this doctor doesn't know Claire. Claire sees a lady in the front house. She was changing into a zombie gradually. The truck driver is shown on another side. The virus has also affected him. His eyes were also damaged along with his dog. He takes his truck to the police station. Due to it, the truck set on fire after colliding. As he reaches the station, his body is set on fire. The police officer doesn't understand anything after seeing him. What should he do? The other police officer discovers everything. He asks the officer to lock the gate while blowing off his fire, so none will come inside. This officer already knows the people are turning into zombies in the city. But he didn't tell anyone about this. He was running alone while taking all the things. Meanwhile, the other police officer says he can't handle it alone. Even then he leaves while dropping him alone. When the officer reaches the border of the city, the guards were there. They were not letting anyone go out of the city. They ask the officer to go back. They start firing at him when he doesn't take his car back. That's why the police officer has to come back to the police station again. He discovers all the zombies at the police station's gate. He goes to park the car and he notices the dog in the car parking. The dog of the truck driver and also become a zombie. It surrounds the officer. Meanwhile, Claire arrives. She saves the officer. Later, they discover many zombies at the gate. They were pushing the gate. After some time, their gate breaks. The team is shown in the next scene. They come to the mansion and find the old team's car. It was in a bad condition. That's why the new team has been sent with full protection. Moving forward, they notice a zombie. He was wearing the doctor's coat. He was eating that team's officer. The officer ends the zombie. Moving forward, they see the officer was still alive, whom the zombie was eating. Later, the 4 officers make groups of 2. An officer who was a pilot was sitting in the helicopter. A zombie bites him there. The officer who got the message to search for the virus, he starts playing the piano while coming inside. After it, a secret door opens there. It is shown when the zombie bites the pilot, he leaves while flying the helicopter. He couldn't fly at a distance with the helicopter. The helicopter crashes in the mansion. The lady police officer saves the other officer. Now the officer moves forward while following his PDI. The lady police officer asks him what is it? He tells her he was assigned a task. In return, he will get a lot of money. He doesn't know who are they? It doesn't matters to him. He just want the money. He can do anything for money. Hearing this, the lady police officer comes in anger. Meanwhile, a zombie was about to attack the lady police officer. The officer saves her. Later, he escapes while leaving her alone. After it, many zombies are shown attacking officers, in which Claire's brother and the other officers were included. The other officers were ended. Claire's brother was saved. Claire's brother moves forward while fighting with zombie. Meanwhile, the lady police officer arrives. She saves him. She tells him an officer has left. Everyone is ended. That's why they have to leave from there. Later, they run from there. The man is shown in the next scene who told about that virus. The man was kept in a locker. He asks the officer to open it. He snatches the officer's gun when he doesn't open the locker. As the officer opens the locker, a zombie attacks and bites him. He was locked with him. The zombie attacks the officer. Meanwhile, Claire arrives. She saves the officer. When Claire discovers the man has died who has all the information about the virus, she feels sad. Because he was the only one who knows everything about the virus. Now they search for the way to move out from there. Claire knows the story of the virus has started from this corporation. There must be something from which the people will run from here. The police officer who was with Claire also sees the girl whose body was ruined after the failed experiment. She was the girl who Claire has seen in the childhood. She had handcuffs. She was locked here even after so many years like animals. Everyone has escaped from there. Meanwhile, the girl whose body was ruined, she asks the police officer to keep quiet. She points towards upside. Even then the officer calls his companions. Meanwhile, a zombie arrives and lifts his companion upside. That was a dangerous zombie and immediately eats him. After it, the zombie attacks them. The girl saves them. That was a dangerous zombie. Maybe some experiments has been done on it. Maybe it was a zombie of any animal. This zombie has a long tongue. It can pull anyone towards it with its tongue. Even it eats anyone in a few seconds. Now the girl who was locked here since many years, on whom the experiments were done, she fight with that zombie. She ends it. When Claire talks to her, she recognizes him. She gives her a key of a secret lock to move out from here. Reaching there, Claire was remembering her bad memories. Moving forward, she finds a projector. There was a video on it. The girl was sitting with her twin brothers. Maybe the doctors have made this video before the experiments. Later, she finds a file. There was the name of the kids on whom the experiments were done since today. She tears all the files in anger. The doctor is shown in the next scene. He has come in the lab to take the virus's sample. A girl is tied there. There were many cuts on her body. The girl was still alive. She was in her senses. She was breathing difficulty. The doctor's wife and daughter get scared seeing her. The doctor's wife asks him to leave from there. Dr. Williams says, "I will not go while leaving you like this." Meanwhile, the officer who was in virus's search allow arrives there. He also come here to bring virus. The doctor is shown firing at the officer. The officer also shoots the doctor. Due to it, Dr. William was about to die. Before dying, he asks for the virus. His wife tries to end the officer after giving him the virus. The officer shoots at her head directly. She dies immediately. The doctor's daughter was seeing all this. The doctor's daughter hides firstly, but then she beats the officer from behind. The officer was about to end the doctor's daughter. Meanwhile, the lady police officer ends that officer. The girl doesn't want to end him. But she has to do this. The officer knows this. Before dying, he gives her the address of an underground train. There is only a way to move out of this city. They have to leave before 6 from here. This city will be finished at 6 a.m. They move toward the train from there. As they try to move from there, Dr. William changes into a dangerous zombie. It is shown Dr. William has injected that virus's injection. That's why he turned into a dangerous zombie. They were running from a narrow way. They moved from there, but Claire's brother couldn't move out from there. Now William was behind Claire's brother. He wanted to end him. He was about to end him. Meanwhile, Claire arrives. She took her childhood's revenge while ending William. When she says, "Stay away from my brother," Dr. William also remembers. They are the kids who were in the childhood. Later, they reach to the train. They somehow start the train. They weren't out of the Raccoon City. It was 6 on the clock and there was a huge blast in the mansion. It spread in the whole city. The people in the train can hear the blast's voice. They notice William returns after being a huge monster. He holds Claire after coming there. Claire has a knife in her hand. With it, she attacks William's eye. He leaves Claire. Later, he moves forward to her brother. Claire's brother fires at him. But it doesn't affect the monster. His bullet were finished. Meanwhile, another officer arrives. It flies the Dr. Williams monster with the help of rocket launcher. The city removes in a minute. They escape from there because they were in an underground train. Finally, this movie ends here. The story of Raccoon City ends in the last. They all escape from there. The story ends here.